Hey guys, what's going on? It's been some time since we got the boss raid overhaul update for Dungeon Quests, and I thought I'd give you guys my opinion of the update as a whole, but I'm also going to be giving you guys some tips on how you can solo this boss and get the rings as efficiently as possible. Now, there's already a few videos of some tips on how to beat this boss already, and well, yes, some of these tips do help. I feel like there's a few things these people missed, and I know from a lot of raids that people are doing a cheese for this boss, but from personal experience from playing these raids, they are very slow compared to my solo runs. So I thought I'd give you guys my own view of how I beat this boss and beat it in about 5 minutes or less. So if you guys like this type of video, please drop a like and subscribe to my channel for more future content. So let's get right into it. So throughout this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my tips first, and later at the end of the video, I will be giving you guys my thoughts of the overall update. Now there is quite a bit to talk about, so you can see it's a little bit lengthy, but you guys can refer to the chapters in the description if you want to hear about specific segments. So first, I'm going to be giving you guys the tips. As a quick side note, the tips I'm going to be providing is going to be based solely on tier 5 since that's what I play on the most. But if you're on a lower tier, you can still try to follow these tips along since the pattern is very similar across all the tiers. Their timings and stuff are just slightly different. So there you go. So for your loadout, you're going to want to run 10 billion HP. This will give you enough HP to survive 5 hits from any attack, at least to my knowledge. Now you can try slightly lower HP if you're more experienced, but generally 10 billion is the recommended. Now if you're playing on lower tiers, the HP you need to survive 5 hits is different, but you can try less HP to survive less than 5 hits to deal more damage. But I don't really know the damage values, so I can't really give you guys a recommended HP for each tier. Now for your damage, you're going to want to gauge between how much you want to deal versus how much survivability you want. Now for tier 5, you're going to want to deal at least 40 Q with inner, but I believe you can go slightly lower, but your time frame will be more tight with that. Now in my first video, I was using a purple Akuma set with the legendary, but I believe you can still beat it with even the Yokai Peak Insane sets, but your time frame will be really tight, and also your HP will be a lot lower, so you basically get one-shotted from every attack if you do decide to try that. So if you're really trying this boss from a beginner standpoint, you're going to want to try to get the Akuma sets, and if possible, try trading for level 200 rings, as those will help a lot. Now, what you consider an ideal ring is kind of up to you, but what I would recommend if you want the most survivability is to go with Guardian Balance rings. Now, the reason for that is the Guardian rings have a lot more HP than the Warrior and Mage rings. So the Balance ring is more favored to HP, honestly. Even though Voldex stated that all powers are equal on balance, I feel like stamina is more ideal for that ring. Now I choose Guardian because Guardian still has a good amount of power compared to Warrior and Mage, although it's not nearly as high as the Technique and Power rings. It still has some value. It's about 50% of what Warrior and Mage rings still give, and that's still a considerable boost, especially when you're coming from Steampunk Sewers or even Ghastly Harbor, where the off power is so low that you can't use the Guardian sets. Now for your boost, no doubt you're going to want to look for HP regeneration for that. However, if you can't get it, that isn't a huge deal, but you're going to still want a healing spell in your inventory just in case. Now I recommend going with Revitalize since it has a large and long-lasting speed boost compared to Life Dash. But if you want, you can still run Life Dash It's just that your speed boost will not be as long. Alright, that's it for your loadout. Just run 10 billion HP if you're a newbie, and also try to meet 40q damage with inner. Now, let's get right into the boss. Now on to the boss. So a little secret on how I was able to beat this boss consistently solo without any deaths is because the hitboxes for all the attacks are always in the exact same spot every single cycle. So what do I mean by this? Well, let's take for an example the first attack the Goliath does when he first spawns in the map. He's on tier 5, he will spawn 5 circles in the middle, and then they will keep moving around in a spiral pattern while progressively getting bigger. Well, the next time he uses that spiral circle attack, which is actually what Voldex called it, the placement for all the circles is exactly the same every single time he is using it, and here's a video for some proof. Now this one fact is the only thing that makes me drop the difficulty of this boss from like a 10 to maybe around a 5 or a 6 out of 10. This is a very big deal because many of the other Dungeon Quest bosses have at least an RNG aspect, such as the Sea King with the little aquatic smite he puts on top of you. The 4 circles that go in corners that's randomly orientated, and if it spawns in front of you, you're basically dead. And especially Craig, we all know how garbage that boss is with its RNG attacks. But this boss, almost no RNG. Now, what is RNG about this boss is what direction he spins when he uses his flamethrower attack. Because I didn't know this, but recently I found out that he can spin counterclockwise or clockwise for that. But the amount of rotations is still the same, so it's not really a huge deal. And another RNG aspect about him is if you're playing in a group, he will face a random character and then shoot his laser. That's the only other RNG that I can think of for this boss. But those are really negligible RNG factors, so they don't really affect the difficulty of this boss. So up next, I'm going to be showing you guys this boss's cycles on both the first and second phase. Now the first phase is when he first spawns in until he gets to 80% HP, which for solo tier 5 is about 1.62 QI HP. And phase 2 is just that HP until he dies. Now if you want some point of view from the arena and my camera angle, the door without any design on it is to the right, and from where you spawn in the boss room, that is straight in front of you. So take that as a frame of reference, and with that, here are the cycles. So for the second phase, I would like to point out that that big red circle that he does a ground slam on, that activates his shield as well as electric towers, which starts the electric grid attacks. Now, other than that, his attack cycle is exactly the same, so he will start with his overclock ability, which will make 3 abilities attack faster. And after that, he will shoot a laser at you, spawn minions, and do that rocket grab, flamethrower, spiral missiles, and the artillery. And then he'll go back to overclock and then just repeat that cycle all over again. Now, once you defuse a tower, his shield will go down for 15 seconds. But ideally, you'll want to try to defuse the towers while he's doing his minion summoning ability. So this will give you a large window to kill the minions, or at least get them to explode. I don't recommend to kill them at all since they have too much HP. But you're going to want this time frame to kill the minions, because as you see from some of the background runs, I always have to go to the outer edge to avoid his spiral missiles because of the minions. Now for the minions, you're going to want to try to get them to detonate instead of trying to kill them yourself. I do not recommend trying to kill them, because in the time that you probably will try to kill them, the Goliath will probably use some other attack that you need to avoid while also attacking the minions on top of that. While detonating them will also risk you taking damage, it kills them instantly. So that's one thing you're going to need to take advantage of from this boss. Now, once I defuse all 4 towers from the boss, what I like to do is to stand near the wall where you spawn in, and if you don't know where you spawn, look for an area that looks like a clock tower in the middle, and just go near that wall. Once you start spawning minions, I like to hang out around that area, as 2 minions will spawn near that area, so I try to get them to explode. And there will also be a 3rd minion to the very right that I will also have to detonate. Once I get all 3 minions detonated, the boss will usually start his spiral missile attack, so I would hang all the way back to the wall, wait for the missile hitbox to go around the area, and then quickly move back into the middle. Most of the time, I do have to get more minions to detonate, and sometimes I do get hit by this, but I try to get to the middle as fast as possible to avoid his artillery attack. So once the artillery hits, I just hang in the middle until he uses his laser beam again, which gives me a lot of free damage and also a large window to heal myself if I need to. Now, especially during the second phase, when he has that shield or when he is about to use that overclock ability, you're going to want to use that opportunity to heal yourself. And this is something I did a lot in my first few runs before I got some HP regeneration rings. And this is why I thought the boss was so easy, because you got a lot of opportunities to heal and not many attacks give you anti-healing. Alright, so I guess there isn't much more to say for tips. Just study the cycles that I gave you guys and try to find some safe areas around the arena so you can adapt to this boss's attacks and avoid all the minions consistently without failing runs or using revive potions or whatever. So have fun beating this boss solo and getting more ranks. Now I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts of the update as a whole. Now, I will be honest, there is a lot more positive that I have to say with this update compared to the negative. However, the negative for this one is probably bigger than any other negative that I gave for Voldex. So let's start with the positive. Now, the boss, once you get it down, it's actually a really fun fight because it's difficult, but it's also not unfair in a way. At least, I don't think it's unfair. Now, a lot of people still think this boss is really unfair, but if you guys follow these tips and start learning to his attacks, then he's actually not that difficult, and I think he's a pretty fun fight. Now, the rings, I don't really care that Voldex took the idea from Fable Legacy. I do like the addition of rings, and I do like that they're trying something new. And the balancing, although the rings are quite weak, HP regeneration is a really strong ability, and for grouped games, overhealing is also a really strong ability. So I think those need to be toned down a little bit, or at least removed. But yeah, I do like the addition nonetheless. Now the event is probably where this update shines, because this event is similar to the Yokai Peak event, but with some added gambling aspects, so you can get random rewards. I do like that idea, honestly, and it's also not too difficult to get emblems, which is the event currency. So I think this event is one of the better ones, if not the best that Voldex has gave us so far. Although yes, it's the same old tradition of way too many events for Dungeon Quests, but I just thought I'd explain that it's one of the better ones for this game. Now, the absolute worst thing I have to stress with this update is your limited amount of plays for the new boss to get rings, which has not been looked at. Regardless of how much people have begged for a change, no, Voldex did not do anything in the week or two that this update has been out. Now, I explained this a lot in the Discord server already, and I even opened a suggestion ticket to change this system, but Voldex has not done anything to change this system, and they argue that the reason they're doing this is because they don't want people getting instant rings or getting like stockpiles of rings in their inventory and just overpower the economy. Now, while I do think that's a reasonable claim, what they should have done instead is make rings rarer and either increase the amount of plays you get, or remove those plays and just make rings about as rare as maybe a tier 3 piece, or even just tier 2 armor piece. Just make it rarer and remove that play cap, because that's the only reason that I do not grind this update effectively. Now, you can pay to get more challenges, which doubles the amount of daily challenges you can get, but even then, that still makes this update a usual pay-to-win update. And in fact, this goes on another level of pay-to-win, which is called pay-to-play, where you basically need to play this game mode more. So the people who do pay for extra challenges have a massive advantage over those who do not pay. Because on my main, I have stockpiles of blue and purple rings already, but my alt barely has 2 rows of rings already, and I did not spend Robux on that alt. And this is a major problem, which is why I was so against the daily challenges thing. Now, if this was 12 hours, or if you had 10 challenges for free, this wouldn't be so bad. But because Voldex didn't do anything, I have to take that factor into account for this update. So overall, it could have been a really good update. It's just that daily plays update, or that daily challenges thing for boss raids, is what kills this update as a whole. And because of that reason, I have to give this whole update a 3.5 out of 10. If it was not for that daily challenges thing, I would have given this update a 7.5 out of 10. It would have been one of the better updates that Voldex gave us. Now, a lot of people told me I shouldn't be surprised, because they told me from many of other Voldex's games, they always find a way to ruin a good update, and I guess this kind of shows. Now, I don't want to hate on the Voldex company, and I do hope they can make this game way better, and I do know it is more popular than it was now, but for us older players, we just keep our opinions, because Voldex doesn't do anything for us endgame players. And there's also a lot of changes from the original Dungeon Quest, which I will say a lot of people don't really like change, but when the changes are this bad, then you're obviously going to get a lot of hate. So if Voldex is watching this, then you guys need to take a look at this daily challenges thing. If you still have my suggestion poll, I had suggested increase the daily cap to 10, or change that to loot drops, or even better yet, just remove that daily challenges thing and make rings rarer. Of course, I wouldn't make it legendary or tier 3 rare. I would probably make it as rare as like a tier 3 weapon or an armor piece, because rings are really common right now. So I guess there isn't really anything else left to say for this video. Pretty good update if it was not for that daily challenges thing, and yeah, I'm gonna cut it here. So again, if you guys like this video, please drop a like and subscribe to my channel for more future content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.